Crypto Clothesline. We're glad to be here with you. Hanging out the crypto laundry. Getting all the crypto info for you. Crypto Clothesline. Crypto Clothesline.
Hello.
Hello, Amy Rose.
Hi, Abheeti. How you going?
I'm great. How are you
Good.
going?
I'm so good. I'm amazing. Pop, pop. That was all my fireworks going off celebrating my existence.
Pop, pop. Oh, you sounded like my daughter, except nothing to do with fireworks, at least not in the top end.
I'm happy to pop, pop. So we had an awesome event, and I'm just going to plug myself. That sounded terrible, but either way, I'm going to plug myself, ourselves.
Yeah.
We had our first Crypto and Kids event.
It was amazing. And the whole intention behind it was to share some of this fundamental knowledge about the way our world is changing. Effectively, it was crypto and kids, so it was about digital currency, but we also talked about how blockchain works, using fun and hands-on activities born from the incredible brains of Miss Amy Rose Goodey.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Can you tell me in one sentence or less the highlight of the whole Crypto and Kids event?
Was this a 3, 2, 1 moment?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, the pressure. The highlight.
3, 2, 1.
Blast off. Okay, I think the highlight was looking around the audience when you were presenting and seeing the faces that were really engaged. Enraptured might be a little bit too far, but what the children...
What word did you say?
Enraptured.
What does that mean?
Like when you've got rapture, you're like totally engrossed in something, and enraptured means you're sort of caught in it. Caught in, you've been...
I love these podcasts because I learn something new every day, every time. Okay, so, yep, continue.
So the looks on the faces, the children were really engaged, they were connected. And at the end, this is the challenge we came up against. We did all these activities, and I hope Amy Rose is going to unpack those for us in a minute, because they were really cool. But at the end, I wanted to know if they'd actually picked up what we were trying to pass on to them, because as adults, you can have all these fabulous ideas, but if you haven't connected the dots, well, it's all a bit worthless, really.
It's a waste of time if the kids leave there going, oh, that was lame.
Or, that was great, but what the hell do we do there all Sunday afternoon, Mum and Dad?
Yeah.
And just when we talked about intention, I think it's important to mention that we really wanted parents to be there too, because we feel that the only real way to educate children is through the parents being enthusiastic and knowledgeable themselves. And that's reflected in research that shows that children who are actually successful in later life as adults have had parents that have set up the stage, modelling interest in finance, modelling interest in new technology, that sort of thing. So it was really important. And the feedback from at least 2 of the parents that I spoke to was like, oh my gosh, we learnt so much.
I learn a lot from a little key that I've shared with my students in the online course. There's a key term that you type into Google to come up with little pieces of information that are explained in simple terms. So the key phrase when you're wanting to learn about blockchain and crypto is explain it like I'm 5. Type that into Google or ELI5 with your query, and you will have something from the internet, from somebody who tries to explain that term the way a child can understand it.
I'm going to make sure that we put that in the show notes so people can remember it, because it's the sort of thing I'd hear in a podcast and go, what was that again?
Yeah, explain it like I'm 5. So what I found after all my research was that there's so many different ways to explain blockchain technology, but how to explain it to a child, that is actually what I found the only way to explain it to a grown-up. So that's why I think their parents got it on Sunday.
Yeah, the parents were enraptured as well, because they had their kids sitting in their lap and they were really absorbed in what we were doing. Can you tell some of the things, some of the ideas you came up with and that we created together?
There were so many activities. The whole day was full of activities. We had Mark, the joyologist, who came in and he created the Bitcoin song.
A bit of a rap
that came in, and I might share that. So that got the kids in the mood as well, and they were questioning why are we singing about Bitcoin. I think even the parents were a bit worried at that stage. It might have been a bit culty. But anyway. So we then went on to discuss the actual blockchain and what it is, and that was done with an actual physical chain that we got from Bunnings,
Yes.
which is a
Hardware store.
And my partner, who is a fine furniture designer, he made us, 12 blocks of wood with holes in them to thread onto the chain.
With Saji's help, who's 10.
And with your son's help. So we actually played with a physical blockchain, and we put codes onto blocks. Like, we put a mathematical equation onto a block that the children had to work out. So they had a sum, 1 + 1. They could all get that. I was really impressed with the education system when they were able to figure that out. One 12-year-old did struggle, but some people do. We still love these children.
Sometimes they just drift off in class.
So yeah, we had that. But one of the highlights, and something that all the kids reported that they loved so much, was where we had to work out how an actual block goes along the chain. How it doesn't just freely float across there like it owns the chain. It has to get the codes on that block decrypted. And that's where each child was in a team, and that team had 4 little blocks of different codes that they had to work out before they were able to send their block along the chain a little further.
Now, something like that to a not codey type like me, I'm a bit of a non-coder, sounded as boring as batshit. But I tell you what, we had so much fun.
We had, one of the codes was Morse code, where the children had Morse code in front of them, and they had a word that they had to decrypt. Then we had invisible ink, where I had written a word or 2 words on the paper, and they had a torch and a pen, and they had to work out, because it was a blank page essentially, they had to work out what on earth was on this page. If they worked it out, they were able to put their block along the chain a little bit more. So they worked out that blocks don't just travel along a chain willy-nilly. They actually have computers that mine, and computers that have to work out these codes to be able to verify that this block is a legitimate block. And I think that was something that allowed the children to understand that the blockchain is secure, and you can send your money, we called it money, but I mean Bitcoin, you can send your Bitcoin along that, and they really enjoyed that.
Your digital information.
Yeah, well, we did say data as well, can get thrown into that block.
Today I've learned about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And it's about money that goes into the blocks, and the blocks are stuck on the chain forever and ever. And it's just like...
So as a challenge that we did experience, though, was to sort of translate in real terms what that meant to the children. And that was something that we learned, having had the real life experience.
So once a block is on the blockchain, what's in the blocks to start with?
Whatever you put in it, and if you don't want anyone to know, you put a code in it, and that makes it so no one else can know. It's your code.
It's your code, okay. And what's an example of a code that could be in there?
So say if you say, my code is ... means J. So if I write a J and then I write a C and whatever letters I want, and that could be my code.
At the end of it, we were like, okay, how can you make this make sense in your real life? Because we want it to be meaningful. We don't just want it to be a bunch of words thrown at them. And that was where we found they were coming up with some amazing examples of how it could work in real life. For example, trading Pokemon cards, or sending money to your parents, or to your parents. Well, that's really good. That augurs well for us for the future. Sending money to your relatives overseas or whatever. But we couldn't really nail anything meaningful that you would find on the blockchain in real life that would make sense to children. So that was sort of for us an ongoing challenge to how to tweak it for the next event.
So we did have an awesome conversation with Martin McGinty, who will be going on the 321 podcast, and he's actually going to be presenting
like a bite size, like a sound bite in less than a minute, explaining blockchains to 5-year-olds.
To 5-year-olds. So I think that's going to be exciting too. But so he was having, we were discussing after the interview how to explain to a child like they're 5, when they're 5, the blockchain. Martin McGinty is from BlockBoxx, and that's an innovation hub for blockchain startups and for, trading and meeting up for like-minded people in the crypto and blockchain space, where you can go, and it's a very sexy space.
It's very groovy.
And when you walk in there, and I've only been there once, I'm jealous of Abheeti, who goes there nearly every day to do her work. So, this space exists so that people who are interested and passionate about blockchain can go there and learn, and it's an educational space.
Yeah, so they're interested. I mean, we'll be listening to it in the podcast because Martin is our guest this week, but they're interested in sharing blockchain with a wider community as well, and business, government, local government, different organisations that don't know yet how blockchain and the practical applications of it can really benefit their businesses.
While we were speaking with Martin, we actually established that what we're doing with crypto and kids and what BlockBoxx is doing is very, very similar, educating people on how blockchain can impact on their lives. So we're hoping to do a really awesome collaboration with BlockBoxx in the future.
I think even beyond hoping, I think we're just planning it, aren't we? It's just about in the pipeline, really.
Well, yeah, I think it's inevitable.
Yeah, and so what we're looking to do is to bring crypto and kids. At the moment, they're fun little events one-on-one, but Amy Rose and I, plus our band of 5 children plus 2 husbands. Nearly. They're not quite husbands.
They're not
our
husbands. They haven't really stepped up.
We haven't done
they?
the contract.
We're still single.
Just saying.
Not single. I'm going to get in so much trouble. Oh my God, I'm dumped.
We're still
dropped.
Not married.
That's correct.
We're a couple of old spinsters.
Don't ask us what our children are.
With FIFOs.
Cut. Yeah, we do have FIFOs.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's a bit scary. We're not looking at necessarily touring the country, high and low to take crypto and kids around in a live sense. What we're looking at doing is training the trainers. So looking at working with teachers so that other people can bring crypto education and blockchain education to schools. So
which is similar to what BlockBoxx is doing by bringing blockchain education to big companies, governments and businesses, yeah.
So we're looking at doing it at the foundational stages with the wee ones, and BlockBoxx is looking at doing it with the grown-ups, and probably the information will be pretty similar.
I think it has to be. Anyway, let's have a listen.
Let's have a listen. Hello, Martin.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
We are awesome. Thanks for joining us today, Martin.
Thanks for having me on your amazing show.
So you told me one day that you'd been listening to it while you're in the gym.
Yeah, I've been. Sometimes you just need that extra bit of motivation, right? And and what could be more motivating than listening to some of the amazing guests that you guys have had on? No, seriously though, I really enjoyed some of the content so far, and I really hope we can keep the standards up in this interview here.
Absolutely.
What do you do at the moment in blockchain and cryptocurrency?
I started off like a lot of people do. I got told about something called Ethereum from a friend of mine, and he said that it's going to be bigger than the internet. And straight away I kind of did a bit of research, so the inquisitive side of me looked into it, and I knew something about being able to write smart contracts and that removing an intermediary from business transactions. And that completely confused me. So I went and researched it again, and I kind of started to get it a little bit more. And then the more and more I looked into it, I kind of thought, okay, I can understand how this could have a really disruptive influence on the way people trade. And I bought a little bit of Ethereum at the time, just a bit of play money to see how it could go. And what happened was it fell. So this was going back probably April, May 2017. And of course, it went right down from, I think, about $450 to about $150. And I said to my mate, hey, what's going on with this? I thought this was going to be the next big thing. And he said, no, just hang on. And of course, it came back. The more that I kind of got the buzz from reading up on it, the more I can understand the kind of opportunities, not just in the cryptocurrency space, the kind of underlying blockchain technology, which kind of really started to fascinate me. I felt that, okay, well, this blockchain thing, what can we do in this area? And that's what inspired the creation of our company, BlockBoxx.
What's your background?
I'd always been involved in IT in a general sense. I had a legal background, so I qualified from university with a law degree. And like a lot of people at the time, we had a choice that we could either go and do a legal diploma for 2 years on not much money, or kind of move straight into something else. And I got that opportunity to join a company called Accenture. And at the time, kind of being involved in management consultancy was a really exciting space. What the kind of criminal law was looking like at the time in Scotland. So I moved from Glasgow down to London and joined this management management consultancy. The way IT was still quite a kind of large gap for me to bridge. So I kind of made friends with one of the kind of senior managers at that stage, and he said to me, look, you really want to come into my technical team? And I kind of thought, well, I would, but I've not really got any technical skills. And he said, don't worry, we'll learn those on the way. And that turned out to be a really good move. So I started a kind of 15-year career in SAP, which is a large software company. I worked as a management consultant in this area. The more I moved on and started managing projects and IT implementations, the kind of less of a gap it was to bridge getting into other technologies. And I became interested in other technologies. And then when blockchain finally came along, it kind of felt that finally I wasn't playing catch up anymore. And finally, this was just something that not many people knew too much around. And if I could do a bit of research into that, then there was an opportunity to actually be at the forefront of something instead of playing catch up.
It's a pretty amazing time in history to be working in this realm of this cryptocurrency and this blockchain realm. I mean, there's so much unfolding.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the time is fascinating. The metaphor that I've heard a few times is that we haven't started the race yet. In fact, we're all still just building our cars. And I think that's pretty accurate. That said, one of the things that I'm interested in that I've not heard too much about elsewhere, even in the whole kind of blockchain and crypto scene, is really researching on a global level what has actually been implemented in the blockchain space already. So not about blockchain as a technology of tomorrow, but blockchain as a technology of yesterday, and kind of saying, right, what's actually been done in this space and where have companies already started to see either ROI or other benefits and things like provenance from harnessing and utilizing blockchain technology. So that's one of the things that I'm really interested in speaking to companies about, is to be, for example, if there's, we're here in Australia and there's kind of big kind of retailers and David Jones, and I'd like to understand, are they looking at, Walton Chain, who are bringing textiles onto the blockchain? So they're bringing physical assets onto the blockchain using RFID tokens, and that helps identify whether these textiles have come from sweatshops or stuff like that. So I would like to know, what companies in Australia are looking at that as a benefit within their supply chain, and are they actually interested in bringing that sort of technology here? So that's a conversation I'd quite like to open if it's not going already. And to your point about timing, I think the timing to start having these conversations is perfect.
Is that part of the role then of BlockBoxx, to bring the research and the knowledge and the practical applications of blockchain to Australian companies? Is that where you see your role?
Yeah, definitely. So our mission, if you like, is to accelerate the adoption of blockchain technology. So when we started talking about crypto, we're really looking at things from an investment perspective. And the more we've kind of started looking at blockchain, we've got so interested in not just in how we can invest in blockchain, but how we can actually get companies using it, not just for the sake of using it, but because there's actually real benefits to, enabling, this peer-to-peer marketplace, which lots of blockchain technologies do, and lots of benefits. And I mentioned the provenance of textiles, the provenance of, jewels and diamonds, and, the blood diamond use case we hear about a lot. And really, from a BlockBoxx perspective, we know that there are a lot of companies want really to answer two questions. One is, what the hell is blockchain? And two is, how is it going to impact my industry? So although we started out looking to help traders trade more successfully, and still believe that was something that traders can benefit from. So people are on the Telegram groups and Facebook groups and things like that, and they're getting a lot of benefit from trading with each other and learning from each other and tips and charting and stuff like that. And I thought that we could actually bring all these people together and trade more successfully, within a kind of team environment. But even though that's kind of what we started out looking at, the more we got out into the community and spoke to different stakeholders about what is it they're interested in, the more it actually struck me that companies were wanting to answer more fundamental questions about what is blockchain and how is it going to impact their industry.
So it's kind of like an education. It's like sharing blockchain and how it can benefit other people in the finance or the business world.
Absolutely. And on the education part, that's something else at BlockBoxx that we're really interested in, not just promoting, but playing a kind of pivotal role in setting the standards for blockchain education, because no one has really stepped forward to be a kind of flag bearer for, standard setting in terms of the quality of smart contract development training, in terms of the different kind of ways that technology hangs together, and even just in the basics. So what we're wanting to do is kind of set the standards for blockchain education, and we're currently working with a few organisations in Australia to kind of take the step towards doing that. And while we're still on the kind of education topic, I think it's worthwhile highlighting that, as well as kind of speaking to the universities and the students that are coming out of the universities about the potential that this blockchain technology has. There was a really interesting statistic we heard that said there are actually 14 open positions for every qualified blockchain developer at the moment.
Wow.
So there's a 14-to-1 ratio for qualified resources versus the jobs available. So if you think of yourself as a lawyer or an engineer coming out of university and you're going into a marketplace where there might be 50 applicants for every job, if these students are helped along and trained in blockchain, it really opens up a completely different marketplace for them and kind of a really exciting opportunity. So part of the conversation we are having is with these institutions to kind of figure out, okay, how can we become a better provider of quality education, and then help to set the standards so that companies know that any BlockBoxx trained developer will be of a sufficient standard for them to put straight into the workplace.
How long do you think it would take to get that training? Are you talking about a 3 or 4 year degree?
Look, I think the institutions themselves are currently looking at, updating their syllabuses and offerings to include these, but from a kind of professional certification point of view, it wouldn't be quite as long as that.
Right.
So the entry point, Abheeti, would really be that, you can either take someone from scratch and then you'd be looking at a longer progression to learn all of the kind of coding basics that are required before you can look at, Solidity, which is the language for smart contract development. The perfect, or one of the perfect use cases for us would be a developer who's already proficient in several other languages, but is interested in learning more about how to become a kind of blockchain developer. So the gap then to bridge is a little shorter, and they could probably pick that up depending on how intensively you do the course in, kind of 6-week time frame.
Oh wow, that's fascinating.
Like Abheeti can speak a little bit of Japanese and a lot of Italian, so she's got other languages down pat, and it's basically like doing a 6-week course in
Indonesian. Indonesian's so much easier than those two. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's an interesting analogy. I think the analogy I guess would be, just being able to, understand the construction of how other languages work and then find similarities in that. And even though the languages are quite different that you've just mentioned, that if you can understand how language itself is structured, then that's going to help you learn other languages quicker, right?
It was interesting when I was learning one of those languages in a university setting, there are actually algebraic formulas for different languages. So if you think about where the verb goes, where the adjective goes, so it's about learning the algebraic formula and then breaking that down. Sure. Of course, that's not how it is when you speak a real language, but if you look at it mathematically, it is a code that needs to be decrypted.
That's right. And even if you're consciously thinking about that or just subconsciously thinking about that whenever you move on to your next language, it's certainly going to stand you in good stead, right?
Yeah, well, once you speak one or two, I think it's easy to pick up the others because your brain doesn't keep sending you the error messages. You can't do this, you can't do this.
So look, we're really excited about this prospect, not just of kind of taking students out of universities or existing developers, but talking to companies about how they retool their workforce for the kind of pending disruption that blockchain is going to bring. And from the conversations that we've had already, there are a lot of companies who are really interested in taking that step with us. I mean, it's early days, kind of working with different kind of content partners and different delivery partners and stuff like that. But and this idea of identifying candidates who would be good to train the trainer, and then once we've got that kind of fulcrum of a kind of syllabus and quality trainer and a kind of standard that we can work to, we're really excited about rolling it out with kind of individuals but also businesses as well.
That's exciting. Working with a university, you'll be set.
Well, it's global, right? So once you're in with whether it's ECU or UWA or one of the local universities here in Perth, you're not confined to that. So for us, it's just about the quality of the product. It's just working hard at the moment with the different partners that we've got and collaborating to make sure that the product's as good as what it possibly can be. And then what we've got there, that is something that's certifiable. And then, it's just a case of rolling it out after that. So there's a lot of work to go into it, but our philosophy is if you engage the right people, then we can make it happen.
Wow.
I did my whole building design degree online over 4 years through an Australian university, and there were a lot of international students in my class. I'd love to see something like this online. I mean, I know you're probably going to go to your local universities, but I feel like the future is online. It's all digital, and to have that opportunity to deliver this new education, this new language online, that would be really awesome.
Yeah, I think it's spot on. We would be missing a trick if we didn't, produce a quality online course. And of course, there are courses out there at the moment, but from the feedback and the research that we've done, there are certainly improvements that we can bring to the space, and we're talking to different content partners about how we can do that. So yeah, whether it's classroom or online training, we want to be able to serve the marketplace at the point of need. And then where, some people, Amy Rose, and I'm not sure which category you fit into here, but, some people are really good at just doing an online course and scheduling some time during the week, and getting through it. Myself, I've been doing a course out of RMIT in Melbourne on developing blockchain strategy. And I set out with all the best intentions of getting it done, but I guess I'm just one of the type of people, and maybe I've just been a little busy, but that's probably not so good at and disciplining myself to get it done. So it's really horses for courses.
Courses? You mean courses for courses?
Yeah, we're looking at all the different options.
Martin, just so you feel a bit better, Amy Rose is sitting next to one of those people that doesn't quite get around to finishing courses.
Okay. Yeah. So I think there are maybe like you and I, Abheeti, are people who sometimes start off with the best intentions and all things take over, right? It doesn't make you a bad person.
No, it just makes you've got different priorities. We'll just excuse ourselves.
But I really want to set aside some time to do the courses, but yeah, discipline.
So far, when you've referred to BlockBoxx, you've talked about trading, you've talked about presenting blockchain application to companies, you've talked about blockchain in education, i.e. training the trainer. Can you talk a little bit about blockchain being an innovation hub and what the importance of community is to you? Yeah,
it's really key. So we've kind of jumped around, and if I was just to kind of summarise quite succinctly what BlockBoxx is about, we've got the three main kind of offerings. One is we've mentioned in the kind of blockchain consulting space and helping corporates understand how they can incorporate it. One we mentioned is the education space and the vision of training and helping companies retool the workforce and individuals learn the different skills. One that we've not touched on just too much yet is the venture acceleration side. Since we opened here, we've had a lot of entrepreneurs and innovators come up with some really good ideas about either ICOs that they want to run themselves but aren't sure where to start, or they've actually taken the initial steps, and they might even have the structure of a white paper together, and they really are looking for somebody to help them kind of find the capital. So really this venture acceleration offering that we're putting together is to help people like that understand where they are on the spectrum. Are they kind of just rank newbies with an idea, or do they have a team and advisors in place already and then they're a bit further down the path? But no matter where they are, we want to provide a service where we can say, right, we'll do a gap analysis for you of, what you still need to do, and where we can help you, we will. And with the team that we've got, and where we can't help you, we're taking the time to cultivate a kind of trusted network of kind of industry experts. And experts is a funny word for a technology that's new, but kind of trusted advisors who we could put people in touch with. So we're just trying to put together this package that companies or individual entrepreneurs or innovators can come to us, and we can help accelerate their idea, whether that's to funding or even beyond. So that's something that we've spent a lot of time over the last few months putting together. We've just started working with a few entrepreneurs in that space, and it's something that the team here are really excited about doing. So those three kind of main areas, kind of consulting, education, and kind of new ventures, are the three kind of key things we're focusing on. But there's almost a fourth that kind of overlays all of those, and that is, as we say, kind of cultivating the community and providing a platform for people in the community who don't necessarily have ideas of their own blockchain companies, but they want to be around fellow like-minded people and be having conversations about what's going on in the news, or how different use cases have been rolled out, or maybe just kind of what are the best kind of cryptocurrencies to invest in. So really providing that community service is important to us. is across all of the different offerings I mentioned.
So that community service also means, even if you're not working on the same project, that you can bounce ideas off other people who, like you say, they speak the same language. They've got the same thought process, trying to nut out things. Whereas if you're working in a business hub with a whole lot of people, I don't know, that are teaching someone else how to run an online course, for example, they're not getting the nuances of the challenges you might be going through with your blockchain business or with crypto or whatever.
Sure. And I think one of the driving forces behind creating BlockBoxx was that I had an idea for ICO myself at one stage, and I thought it could have a real fundamental improvement globally across the kind of industry. And then I was kind of looking to my networks and going to the meetups and stuff like that. I realised that there was a lot of energy and a lot of talent there, but not really anyone I could trust in a business context. So by cultivating a community who's all interested in the kind of blockchain space already and all have various things to bring to the table, what you're actually doing is providing almost a bit of a virtual bench for anyone who's got an idea to come and get to know people better and really take their time to understand if these are people that they would want to work with in a business context, rather than just kind of saying, oh, you've met somebody at a meetup, they seem like a good guy or a good girl, let's just jump in and we'll change the world together. So it's about really just providing a physical environment where people can come, get to know each other better, and if whether or not they're just learning from the individual projects that they're working on, or they see these people as potential future partners in another innovation that they've come up with, it kind of covers all of those bases.
Martin, could you tell me a little bit about the people who come into BlockBoxx? What sort of community is there? Is there a variety of different backgrounds?
I mentioned that the main stakeholder group, when we kind of opened the doors for the first time, the main stakeholder group that we were expecting to see was the traders. Now, it might have been to do that it was coincided a bit with the bear market, or it might just have been a real blessing in disguise, but we didn't see too many traders come in and do this kind of 360-degree learning in a trading space. It was the entrepreneurs and innovators who came to want to be part of that kind of broader group. It was also kind of corporates who were saying, look, we really think there's a need in the community for a space like this and a place for these people to kind of get together and work on new proof of concepts and new use cases that can be brought into existing businesses. It was people from different sectors of the government who said, Perth as a future as a real kind of fintech space, and with the kind of proximity to Asia and some other real interesting components about where Perth currently sits and wants to be as a kind of business community, it was the right thing to open up, according to some of the kind of people from government we spoke to. And then there's public services, so whether that's lawyers and accountants and people like that who are identifying blockchain as a real growth potential area for them in their businesses, and talking to us to say, right, we've got strong legal backgrounds or whatever the skill set happens to be. How can we help your people? Because we've actually decided that this is a niche that we want to develop. So there's been a real cross-section of stakeholder groups, if you want to use that phrase, that have come here. And then finally, what I would say is developers. And even though developers typically like to mix just with kind of other developers, and there's maybe that a bit of a stigma about, they're happy just kind of connecting online and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We found there's been some awesome developers who've kind of come out and said, look, we're really happy that you're providing a place for us to congregate and meet up with fellow developers to understand, what are the good courses out there at the moment? What are the crap ones? Where are the job opportunities? Because some of the people are saying, look, we need developers. We need development skills. Can you guys help us out? So we're really providing the connecting function there.
Wow.
So that sounds like a really broad net, but that's kind of been the way it has been so far.
Yeah. It's interesting because I know when we first communicated and you had sent a message about, coming together as a group of traders, and I felt totally intimidated because as a woman, I was like, well, I have studied a little bit of trading, but I don't know. Wow, this feels really scary. I'm being really, really real with you here. And when I did get to meet you all, and when I did get to also participate in the Innovation Hub, what I found overwhelmingly in a positive way was how friendly the vibe was and how welcoming, and how there was no status. It didn't feel like there was a lot of status in the space. It was very, very community based.
I'm not sure if that's a microcosm of the kind of blockchain space as a whole, and maybe it's down to the fact that really and truly nobody knows it all. So if you're prepared to kind of leave your egos at the door and say, right, this is a new space and everybody has something of value to contribute, it really offers itself up for a kind of collaborative environment where we can all learn from each other and we can all move forward together. I know that sounds maybe a little bit kind of
mushy.
Yeah, I'll go with mushy, but yeah, it's probably a bit of mushy. I was going to say kumbaya, but
Well, if that sounds mushy, I'm going to go with mushy because it's a really good feeling working in that space.
and like I say, the egos are kind of left over, and I do think from the kind of YouTube clips you see and the the reading you do on the internet and the Telegram groups and all the information that's cultivated across the entire blockchain space, there does seem to be this element of people wanting to help each other out and work together. And I can't think of an industry that you'd kind of want to be more part of,
Yeah, I totally agree.
Can you tell us a little bit about the ladies in the community?
Well, yeah, I understand that the Crypto Clothesline is a real champion for the ladies in the community, and I think that the work that you do there is really enjoyed. You can listen to some of the people that you've had on, and some of the amazing women, and of course a few men. But if you look at the kind of numbers, there's probably more ladies here than there are gents, and I think that's just a manifestation of the reality that this is an area that is so new. There are any, I guess, gender-based kind of relics of the past aren't relevant in such a new space. The women are an absolute even keel the men in terms of what there is to offer, and certainly in our team we've got 4 really, really strong women in their own right who are very much probably in their own probably a bit of kind of mothering hens to me, and I certainly thank them for that. But yeah, you obviously you've had JP on, but we've got Christy, my wife, who is our financial controller. We've got Emma, who kind of works on the commercial side, and she's been absolutely brilliant. And we've got Julia as well, who I'm not sure if you've spoken to yet, but be a really interesting woman for you to have on the show because she's been involved in some really interesting projects. So we are we're surrounded by ladies, not just on my team, but obviously we've had Abheeti and Sophie come in as well, and some of the contacts they bring. It's been amazing women that they have introduced us to. So yeah, there are no gender-based boundaries when it comes to this, and yeah, I'm really enjoying that side of it.
Well, it is great working there. It feels very even-keeled, as you mentioned, and it just feels easy. It shouldn't be no other way. In a working environment where you feel relaxed and you feel welcomed, it's fodder for fantastic content. It's a great way to grow together.
Absolutely.
Well, it's great that you've been able to manifest such a fabulous community feel, because it really is as the idea, obviously, as you said, started with a thought that you had from going from different meetups. And from that, you've manifested an actual physical group of people coming together, which, although we live in an online digital world, it's really refreshing to actually be able to walk into a space, a dedicated space. And either if you want to work by yourself or if you want to work in conjunction with someone else and go off into one of the meeting rooms, it's actually been a really positive experience for me.
Yeah, and one of the things that I hope from the other side of the fence is that you feel that, or the members feel that they've actually been able to grow their own businesses or, their own kind of skill sets as a result of being part of it. And if that is the feedback that we're getting, then again, I'm delighted.
Great.
And it's a very sexy space. Coming from a designer point of view, oh my God, it's just polished concrete. It's very industrial, very modern in a high-rise building. What the hell? I walked in there just going, whoa, okay, I'm walking into the CBD, into a building on St. George's Terrace in the middle of Perth City. Like, it's just so posh. You go to like little workspace, shared workspaces, it's just like a house or something. This is very, very posh. Lucky I got to.
It's funny you mention that, because it's probably what I like. And that was a tough decision at the outset of what we were doing, is to say, where will we do this? And I mean, Flux, where we are in the Flux building here, it's got a good reputation for kind of cultivating startups. And the kind of network effect that you get here is undeniable. We could have gone to a maybe more modest place and grew the company maybe more organically, but it was a bit of kind of Neil Armstrong moment. We decided, right, we're just going to plant our flag in the biggest innovation hub in the middle of town and let people know where we are. And I don't think I would change that decision. I think it's been a good one.
I think there's a saying, start as you mean to continue. And in your case, I think you've done a fabulous job of it.
Thank you very much.
Do you have a favourite saying?
Do I have a favourite saying? Oh, wow. Okay. Let me think. So I remember watching a movie probably when I was in my 20s. This is going to sound out of context for maybe the interview, but I always remember the movie The Wedding Crashers, and there was a line in that movie, and it said, "No excuses, play like a champion." And even though it was quite a funny movie and it wasn't very profound, that was I was watching it and I just thought, do you know what? That is a brilliant line.
Yeah.
No excuse, play like a champion. So that's kind of what we're doing here. We're kind of saying, there's a mountain to climb and probably a million excuses and things to iron out, but we just got to get on with it and, be the best we can be. And there we go.
It reminds me of that. And I don't have the quote and I don't have the statistic and I certainly don't have where the research came from, the source, but that notion that we only ever use like 1% of our capacity of our brain, like our potential. So many of us are so scared to reach our full potential because of the implications of, social disapproval or people talking you down or people telling you can't. And as an entrepreneur, you bump up against so many walls, and many of them come from within your own psyche because of your conditioning and your upbringing and your ideas. So yeah, definitely a great saying.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Martin, for coming on and sharing all your deep, dark secrets.
Awesome.
Wow, wasn't that amazing?
That's so good.
Oh my God, I can't believe how much BlockBoxx is actually doing. They've got so many different platforms, so many different, not divisions, but they've got so many different departments that they're branching off into.
And projects. And I think it's really hard for them to not do it. What's happened, I think, is because there's so many people going into the space. The space is in the physical space, the space that they've developed, that they've created in the city. There's so many people going in there. They've all got ideas, and a lot of people go in there and they've got this idea for an ICO or this idea for a project, and BlockBoxx has no choice but to continually evolve. And that's what I think is really exciting about BlockBoxx, because it's on the ground. It's just about to explode. And I think Martin's got a massive job on his hands, because I don't think he realizes what is on his plate. Like, I mean, I know he's very busy, but I don't think he actually sees. I feel like I can see that it's going to be huge, and especially for Perth in blockchain.
And I think too, the fact is, what I've noticed from a distance, watching them from a distance in the sense that I'm not right in the hub of developing BlockBoxx, although I work there on a regular basis. But
you have a desk, you don't work for them. It's a co-working space.
Yeah, it's a co-working space. And so we're often drawn into conversations all together, and our input is always welcome. But, you see them going off and having meetings and closing doors and talking. What I'm noticing is how good they are at bringing in different enthusiasts, dare I say experts, who are able to contribute towards any one project. So they'll get somebody who's really good at the finance side and somebody's really good at, the development side. And the fact that they're looking at education, they're looking at training the trainers, they're looking at creating an acceleration hub, to bring blockchain to other businesses. They're looking at teaching people about trading. They're looking at teaching people about recognizing great ICOs. There's so much that they're offering, but they have somebody really well versed in each of those areas. So they're not reinventing the wheel.
No, but they're not. But they are inventing the wheel.
Yes, they are in the wheel.
They are. And that's what I'm... Obviously, we're both passionate about blockchain and crypto. So we have a little bit of a bias. But for the rest of the world, who's currently... there's billions and billions of dollars, I dare to say trillions of dollars, going into... researching, particularly in big corporations, multinational corporations, researching how these companies can use blockchain technology. I dare to say that BlockBoxx is all eyes are going to be on BlockBoxx for the resources that they're about to create in education. One of the things that Martin said was, for every job, for every applicant blockchain developer, there's 14 jobs available.
Right, as opposed to if you come out in tech or something similar, for every position there are 50 applicants.
That's right. So I think they have positioned themselves so well. I'm quite confident that we're going to see BlockBoxxes all over the country and hopefully all over the world, really.
Well, they've already been approached for a London office.
Yeah.
They've already had the little tap on the shoulder about when can we start something similar over here. So I really think that this is a spearhead for amazing things to come, and it's really exciting to be part of it. The clothesline is well and truly, part of the homey atmosphere there.
Anyone, I would like to urge anybody who's listening to the podcast who is in Perth, you have to go up there. And the best thing about this space is you don't have to have a project. You don't have to have an idea for an ICO, you can simply be a passionate about blockchain and crypto person, and they welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, and you might not even have the fundamentals of the information. You might think that you know nothing about it, but you're always welcome to come in, listen in, join in one of their lunchtime meetings. I think at the moment it's still, you can come in and trial it and try it for a little while and see if you want to join it. And we didn't actually talk about it with Martin, but there are different levels of membership that they're offering, which I'm sure will be made available on their new website with more clarity.
And I believe the website's coming up in the next week or so.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That is really exciting. So yeah, that's really exciting. I just want to say, because I know Martin is going to be listening, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Martin. You're awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Ciao.
Bye.
Hello. Amy Rose here to make sure you know all about our upcoming webinars and our online crypto courses. So if you know a newbie, if your best friend has no idea what you're talking about when you say Bitcoin, or your mum is totally confused about why on earth you keep talking about invisible money, send them to our webinars. We cut out the tech talk and deliver a jam-packed session of crypto goodness every fortnight. And you're going to need more. So we've built an online course. It's 10 weeks of video tutorials, complimentary consultations where you can talk to myself or to Abheeti. There's quizzes, access to the closed Facebook group just for students with live videos and support, study guides, all without the tech talk, and it's just put simply for non-tech heads. And this is going to teach you everything you need to know about everything you need to get you started in crypto and to make informed decisions. You're going to learn the importance of security because that is our main focus of the course. And at the end, you're going to feel inspired and enriched and part of a community support network that's there to ensure you continue to feel empowered in this ever-evolving space, something that Abheeti and I didn't have when we started out. We virtually had no one, and all we could do was Google. So you've got this in a package delivered just for you. So check out the comments and the notes of our podcast for all the links. Otherwise, we'll see you next week in the podcast where, at the end, we're probably going to tell you about our course again.
Crypto Clothesline.